Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our educational psychology module. I'm Professor Nyamancho, your module supervisor, and Lieutenant Colonel Dowema A is also your module supervisor. Colonel Meng and Captain Jodato are your facilitators. Do you have motivation to learn? I think you all have motivation to sleep, motivation to eat, and motivation to take a break or take a rest. Anyhow, now let's motivate to learn. As you can see here, each of us, all of you, all of us has needs. Your needs will be different from my needs, but each of us motivated by our needs to exhibit certain behaviors. The aim of our behavior is obviously to meet our needs. Whether our needs are satisfied or not can then cause us to change our needs. In this way, the cycle begins again and again with our new needs, potentially causing us to exhibit the new behavior. Motivation is derived from the word motives, or a need that requires satisfaction. These needs, wants, or desires may be acquired through influence of culture, society, or lifestyle, or maybe generally innate. An individual's motivation may be inspired by outside forces, that is extrinsic motivation, or by themselves, intrinsic motivation. Motivation has been considered one of the most important reasons to move forward. Motivation results from the interaction of both conscious and unconscious factors. Motivation governs choices among alternative forms of voluntary activities. Here, some definitions. Motivation is the internal state or condition that activates behavior and give it direction. Or motivation is the desire or want, energizes and directs goal-oriented behavior. Or influence of needs and desires on the intensity and direction of behavior. Or motivation is the arousal, direction, and persistence of behavior. Okay. I like to define motivation as a process whereby goal-directed activities are initiated and sustained. We have four key concepts. This definition highlights four key concepts. Motivation is the process. It focuses on a goal, and it deals with both the initiation and the continuation of activity directed at achieving that goal. Motivation in education. A person's aroused desire for participation in a learning process. Okay, what are the influences? What are the causes of motivation? motivation to learn. Action or overt behavior may be initiated by either positive or negative incentives or a combination of both. In this chart, a brief overview of the different sources of motivation. You can see here, extrinsic and intrinsic. While initiation of action can be traced to each of these domains, it appears likely that initiation of behavior may be more related to emotion, our emotion or affect. And while persistence may be more related to cognition, that is volition or goal orientation. But by the way, test your Google Translate. What is cognition in Myanmar? Check it. It's very funny. Okay, all the domains I will continue. In extrinsic operant conditioning, that is behavioral or external factors elicited by stimulus associated or connected to innately connected stimulus, obtain desired or pleasant consequences, that is rewards, and escape or avoid undesired or unpleasant consequences. You know, operant conditioning. And then the social cognition, that is imitate positive models like Mamala or Majing or Madison, positive models, and acquired effective social competence skills. Be a part of a group, medical education group, or military medical professional group, or institution or community, that is our to be a part of, that is like that social cognition. This also extrinsic and also an intrinsic. And then the go to the biological, may increase or decrease stimulation, that is arousal, or activate senses such as touch, taste, smell, etc., and decrease hunger, you know, decrease hunger, or decrease thirst, or decrease the discomfort, etc., to maintain our homeostasis or our balance, that is biology domain. And then the cognitive domain, cognitive means it's maintain attention to something interesting or threatening, developed meaning or understanding, increase or decrease cognitive disequilibrium, uncertainty, solve a problem or make a decision, figure something out, or eliminate threat or risk, that is cognition. And then affect or our emotion is increase or decrease affective dissonance, increase feeling good, you know, and decrease feeling bad, increase security of or decrease threats to self-esteem, and maintain the levels of optimism and enthusiasm, that is affect. And then the spiritual, we understand the purpose of one's life, our life. What is our life? We must understand the purpose of one's life and then connect self to ultimate unknowns, and then now we reach the conations that meet individually developed or selected goal, or obtained a personal dream, or developed or maintain self-efficacy, take control of one's life, and eliminate threats to meeting goal or obtaining our dream, reduce others' control of one's. That is condition. The most important here is initiation of action is related to emotion or affect, and persistence is more related to cognition. Okay, thank you. And then here, categories of motivation. Motivation as instinct, that is innate and untaught. We all are born to be motivated. Born to be motivated. When psychologists first try to explain motivation, they turn to instincts, inborn patterns of behavior that are biologically determined rather than learned, innate and untaught. Animals, all animals, including human, are born pre-programmed with sets of behaviors essential to their survival. Those instincts provide energy that channels the behavior in appropriate directions. Hence, sexual behavior may be a response to an instinct to reproduce. And exploratory behavior may be motivated by an instinct to examine one's territory. This instinct approach presents several difficulties. For one thing, psychologists do not agree on what or even how many primary instincts exist. One early psychologist suggested that there are 18 instincts. But now many researchers and the sociologists claim that there are exactly 5,759 distinct instincts. Many instincts. Motivation as needs and drive. A drive is motivational tension. It's a motivational tension or arousal that energizes the behavior to fulfill a need. Many basic drives, such as hunger, or thirst, sleep, and sex, are related to biological needs of the body or the species as a whole. These are called primary drives. Primary drives contrast with secondary drives in which behavior fulfills no obvious biological needs. That is achievement motivation. And secondary drives, the prior experience and learning brings about needs. For instance, some people have strong needs to achieve academically and professionally. We can say that their achievement needs is reflected in a secondary drive that motivates their behavior. Need for success and fear of failure. That is achievement motivation. And then instrumental motivation. Extrinsic motivation causes us to do something for money, a grade, or some other actual concrete reward or praise. In contrast, intrinsic motivation causes us to participate in an activity for our own enjoyment, our pleasure, and satisfaction, rather than for any actual or concrete reward that it will bring us. For example, when a physician works long hours because he loves medicine, intrinsic motivation is prompting him. If he works hard to make a lot of money, that is extrinsic motivation, underlies his efforts. Similarly, if we study a lot because we love the subject matter, we are being guided by intrinsic motivation. And the social motivation: perform tasks so as to please those we respect, we admire, or whose opinions are of some importance to us. For example, we love or we admire or we respect Mamala or Majin, and so we try to please them to perform our tasks well or participate in this workshop well. This is ARCS. It's an abbreviation for attention, relevance, confidence, and satisfaction. The ARCS model is an approach to instructional design that focuses on the motivational aspects of the learning environment by addressing four components of motivation: arousing interest, creating relevance, developing an expectancy of success, and increasing satisfaction through intrinsic and extrinsic rewards. Here also ARCS model and some details in it. These here, as you know, attention, relevance, confidence, and satisfaction. Theories of motivation. Each of the major theoretical approaches in behavioral learning theory posits a primary factor in motivation. Classical conditioning states that biological responses to associated stimuli energize and direct behavior. Operant learning states the primary factor is consequences. The application of reinforcers provides incentives to increase behavior. The application of punishers provides disincentives that result in a decrease in behavior. That's you have already known. Theories of motivation. This is humanistic theories. One of the most influential writers in the area of motivation is Abraham Maslow, who attempted to synthesize a large body of research related to human motivation. Prior to Maslow, researchers generally focused separately on such factors as biology, achievement, or power to explain what energizes, directs, and sustains human behavior. Maslow posited a hierarchy of human needs based on two groupings: deficiency needs and growth needs. Within the deficiency needs, each lower need must be met before moving to the next higher level, up to the self-actualization. This is the Maslow's hierarchy needs. Once each of these needs has been satisfied, if at some future time a deficiency is detected, the individual will act to remove the deficiency. The first four levels are here physiological needs. That's hunger, thirst, or bodily discomfort, etc. And safety needs or security needs. is the want to be out of danger or out of threat. And number 3 level is belongingness and love needs. That is, we want to affiliate with others, or we want to be accepted. And then the next level is esteem needs, is to achieve or to be competent or want to gain approval. We want to get recognition. That is esteem needs. According to Maslow, an individual is ready to act upon the growth needs if and only if the deficiency needs are met. Maslow's initial conceptualization included only one growth need: self-actualization. Self-actualized people are characterized by being problem-focused, and incorporating an ongoing freshness of appreciation of life. And then a concern about personal growth, and the ability to have peak experiences, to get peak experiences. Maslow later differentiated the growth needs of self-actualization, specifically naming 2 lower level growth needs prior to a general level of self-actualization. And on beyond that level, the growth needs, and this revised formulation are number 5, cognitive. Thus, we need to know and we need to understand and we need to explore. Number 6 is aesthetic needs. Symmetry, order, and beauty. That is aesthetic needs. Number 7 is self-actualization. To find self-fulfillment and realize one's potential. To find your fulfillment and realize your potential. And then the self-transcendence. Is to connect to something beyond the ego, or to help others find self-fulfillment and realize their potential. Maslow's basic position is that as one becomes more self-actualized and self-transcendent, one becomes more wise, develops the ability to efficiently and effectively make decisions and solve the problems based on personal experience, and become fluid in interacting with the environment and a wide variety of situations. You must be fluid. Maslow's ultimate conclusion is that the highest level of self-actualization are transcendent in nature is especially important as it comes from someone who spent most of his professional life investigating the topics. Some cognitive theories inform our understanding of motivation. They address specific cognitive phenomena that can influence motivation, represent a particular factor of motivation, describe a form of expression of motivation, or explain a process through which it can occur or it can be enhanced. Many cognitive theories. So many cognitive theories and many cognitive phenomena, but we will discuss the important ones. Here, cognitive dissonance theory, which is in some respects similar to disequilibrium in Piaget's theory of cognitive development. This theory was developed by Leon Festinger. He is a social psychologist and states that when there is a discrepancy between two beliefs, two actions, or between a belief and an action, individual will act to resolve conflict and discrepancies. The implication is that if an appropriate amount of disequilibrium is created, this will in turn lead to the individual changing his or her behavior, which in turn will lead to a change in thought patterns, which in turn leads to a more change in behavior. As suggested by Leon Festinger, cognitive dissonance occurs when an individual experiences some degree of discomfort resulting from an inconsistency between two cognitions, their views on the world around them, and their own personal feelings and actions. Attribution theory is also one of the cognitive approach. This theory poses that every individual tries to explain success or failure of self and others by offering certain attributions. These attributions are either internal or external and are either under control or not under control. Here, this chart shows the 4 attributions that result from a combination of internal or external locus of control and whether or not control is possible. And teaching learning environment, it's important to assist the learner. It's important to assist the learner to develop a self-attribution explanation of effort, internal and control. If the person has an attribution of ability, internal, no control, as soon as the individual experiences some difficulties in learning processes, he or she will decrease appropriate learning behavior. For example, I'm not good at this. If the person has an external attribution, then the person will have a belief that nothing the person can do well help that individual in a learning situation. That is responsibility for demonstrating what has been learned is completely outside the person. In this case, there is nothing to be done by the individual when learning problems occur. Attribution theory focuses on the causal attributions learner creates to explain the results of an activity and classifies these in terms of their locus, stability, and self-esteem and attributions for success and failure with this chart. Persons high in self-esteem will think that success is attributed to internal causes, their own skill or ability. Failure is attributed to external causes. For example, bad luck. Oh, I be like this. That's not my control. Persons low in self-esteem think that success is attributed to external causes, that is good luck, and failure is attributed to internal causes, for example, their own lack of skill or ability. Here, expectancy theory is a Brooms, which proposes the equation. Since this formula states that the three factors of expectancy, perceived probability of success, and instrumentality, connection of success and reward, and valency or value of obtaining goal. Those all are to be multiplied by each other. A low value in one will result in a low value of motivation. Therefore, all three must be present in relatively high levels in order for motivation to occur. That is, if an individual does not believe he or she can be successful at a task, or the individual does not see a connection between his or her activity and success, or the individual does not value the results of success, then the probability is lowered that the individual will engage in the required learning activity. From the perspective of this theory, all three variables must be high in order for motivation and the resulting behavior to be high. Goal setting theory, that's Locke's goal setting theory, an integrative model of motivation, sees goals as key determinants of behavior. Possibly the most widely applied, the goal setting theory stresses goal specificity, difficulty, and acceptance, and provides guidelines for how to incorporate them into incentive programs. Locke's research for effective goal settings include setting of challenging but attainable goals. Too easy or too difficult or unrealistic goals don't motivate us. Remember, setting of challenging but attainable goals. Attainable goals. Too easy, too difficult, or unrealistic goals don't motivate us. Setting goals that are specific and measurable. These can focus us toward what we want and what we can help. It can help us measure the progress towards the goal. That is by means of assessment and evaluation. Goal commitment. We must be committed. Goal commitment should be obtained. if we don't commit to the goals, then we will not put adequate effort towards reaching them, regardless of how specific or how challenging they are. Strategies to achieve this could include participation in the goal-setting process, the use of extrinsic rewards, and encouraging intrinsic motivation through providing feedback about goal attainment. It's important to mention here that pressure to achieve goals is not useful because it can result in dishonesty and superficial performance. Support elements should be provided. For example, encouragement, needed materials and resources, and moral support. That's important. Knowledge of results is also essential. Goals need to be quantifiable and there needs to be feedback. This is the motivation scale you see from low engagement to high engagement. First, refusal, they don't want to do, and then interested, and obsessed, and compulsion, and then involved. It's motivation skills. Here, actions that teachers can take to increase motivation on a classroom task. There are a variety of specific actions that the teachers can take to increase motivation on a classroom task. In general, these fall into two categories as discussed above: intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. As a general rule, teachers need to use as much of intrinsic suggestions as possible, while recognizing that not all students will be appropriately motivated by them. The extrinsic suggestions will work, but it must be remembered that they do so only as long as the student is under influence of the external factors. When outside of that influence, unless the desired goals and behaviors have been internalized, the learner will cease the desired behavior and operate according to his or her internal standards or to other external factors. Here the intrinsic ones explain or show why learning a particular content or skill is important, allow students some opportunities to select learning goals and tasks. And we have to create and maintain curiosity, and we should provide a variety of activities and sensory stimulations and provide games and stimulations. Set goals for learning, relate learning to students' needs, and help students develop plan of action. That's intrinsic ones. And extrinsics provide clear expectations, give corrective feedback, provide valuable rewards for simple learning tasks, make rewards available, allow opportunities for students to observe more correct exemplars.
So a final experiment that I want to mention to you is our fairness study. And so this became a very famous study, and there's now many more, because after we did this about 10 years ago, it became very well known. And we did that originally with capuchin monkeys, and I'm going to show you the first experiment that we did. It has now been done with dogs, and with birds, and with chimpanzees. But with Sarah Brosnan, we started out with capuchin monkeys. So what we did is we put two capuchin monkeys side by side. Again, these animals, they live in a group. They know each other. We take them out of the group, put them in a test chamber. And there's a very simple task that they need to do. And if you give both of them cucumber for the task, the two monkeys side by side, they're perfectly willing to do this 25 times in a row. So cucumber, even though it's really only water in my opinion, but cucumber is perfectly fine for them. Now, if you give the partner grapes, the food preferences of my capuchin monkeys correspond exactly with the prices in the supermarket. And so if you give them grapes, that's a far better food, then you create inequity between them. So that's the experiment we did. Recently, we videotaped it with new monkeys who had never done the task, thinking that maybe they would have a stronger reaction, and that turned out to be right. The one on the left is the monkey who gets cucumber. The one on the right is the one who gets grapes. The one who gets cucumber, note that the first piece of cucumber is perfectly fine. The first piece she eats. Then she sees the other one getting grape, and you will see what happens. So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber, and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber. She tests the rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again. So this is basically the Wall Street protest that you see here. So a final experiment that I want to mention to you is our fairness study. And so this became a very famous study, and there's now many more, because after we did this about 10 years ago, it became very well known. And we did that originally with capuchin monkeys, and I'm going to show you the first experiment that we did. It has now been done with dogs, and with birds, and with chimpanzees. But with Sarah Brosnan, we started out with capuchin monkeys. So what we did is we put two capuchin monkeys side by side. Again, these animals, they live in a group. They know each other. We take them out of the group, put them in a test chamber. And there's a very simple task that they need to do. And if you give both of them cucumber for the task, the two monkeys side by side, they're perfectly willing to do this 25 times in a row. So cucumber, even though it's really only water in my opinion, but cucumber is perfectly fine for them. Now, if you give the partner grapes, the food preferences of my capuchin monkeys correspond exactly with the prices in the supermarket. And so if you give them grapes, that's a far better food, then you create inequity between them. So that's the experiment we did. Recently, we videotaped it with new monkeys who had never done the task, thinking that maybe they would have a stronger reaction, and that turned out to be right. The one on the left is the monkey who gets cucumber. The one on the right is the one who gets grapes. The one who gets cucumber, note that the first piece of cucumber is perfectly fine. The first piece she eats. Then she sees the other one getting grape, and you will see what happens. So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber, and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber. She tests the rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again. So this is basically the Wall Street protest that you see here.
There's a Tumangi video clip. You may be bold. There's the Adams equity theory of motivation, based on social exchange theory, states that we are motivated when treated equitably, and we receive that we considered fair for our efforts. It suggests that we not only compare our contributions to the amount of rewards we receive, but also compare them to what others receive for the same amount of input. Although equity is essential to motivation, it does not take into account the difference in individual needs, values, and personalities, which influence our perception of inequity. Watch this video clip, and I'm sure that is a very interesting and will give you a food for thought, and you will have fun. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.